online at talklinenetwork.com. Hope you will join me as we delve into nothing but the truth about current events that affect our community most.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. I think the last time we had Senator Norman Coleman on, when he actually was in the Senate in Minnesota, he was nicknamed Senator Matchmaker. He made a lot of shidduchim, a lot of matches, and now he's trying to match up Jews with the Republican Party. He is an attorney, politician, lobbyist. He was a former mayor, I believe, was the last Republican senator from Minnesota. So welcome, and he's chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Thank you for joining us again.
Great pleasure to be with you, Zev. Thank you so much.
I both forgot to mention you're related to Sid Rosenberg of ABC.
My cousin grew up. I grew up on 21st Street, on Kings Highway, and he grew up on, I think it was Quentin Road, which is just a block or two up. So yeah, he's a close cousin.
So before we begin with you're matching up Jews to Republican Party, I remember articles, and we had you on being a senator matchmaker. You made a lot of matches. How many matches?
Actually, and I got to give credit to Rudy Botchwitz, because he was the one who actually started that tradition. By the way, Rudy is 93. He's still the most prolific fundraiser for senators or across the country in Minnesota. He's still doing what he did, but he began that tradition. I just kind of picked it up and followed him, but he was the one. I got to give full credit to Rudy. And by the way, 93, still out there, still active, and still a great blessing.
But you parried on. Remember, how many matches did you make?
I don't know the number, but I want to yield to Senator Botchwitz.
He was the one
very reflective of the guy that began the whole process, and I just kind of picked it up on the tail end of his.
But you're trying to match Jews with the Republican Party, at least to vote for Republican in the upcoming presidential election. How is that going? I know the RJC, Republican Jewish Coalition, is spending a ton of money to try to reach, especially in swing states. How's that coming along? Because the latest poll I showed was that 60% of Jews are projected to vote Democratic.
So Zev, listen, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. A true story. I never met either a Republican or a Lutheran until I went to college. I both support they were like cults or something.
Well, you were a Democrat,
okay. I was a Democrat. I got elected as a conservative Democrat, mayor of St. Paul. I switched parties in '96, got reelected as a Republican. I was the first Republican mayor in St. Paul in 30 years. I'll be the last Republican mayor in St. Paul, Minnesota. But by the way, I got 60% of the city that's probably 90% Democrat. I got 60% of my reelection as a Republican. But Zev, I think we're in a different place right now. So I think Ronald Reagan was the last Republican, like 40% of the Jewish vote. George Herbert Walker, I think, got 11% his first term when he ran 19%. George W. Bush got about 25%. Trump, by the way, got 45% of the Jewish vote in Florida. And recent polls show him got around 40%. But we're fighting. We grew up. Everyone grew up as Democrats. I think it probably goes back to the civil rights movement. Barry Goldwater voted against the Civil Rights Act, and you kind of go back to that period of Kennedy and Johnson and whatever.
But Demveld, Yenenveld, and Roosevelt didn't go.
Yeah, right. But today's it's a different time, and we've got an administration, the Biden administration, that has given probably close to $100 billion, not just the $6 billion they gave to release some hostages, but release. So they're giving $100 billion to folks who are killing my family and my friends. Okay, so they're giving money to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to the Houthis, and they're killing Jews, and folks see that. And on top of that, Zev, you see kind of the rise of anti-Semitism that's taking place in our colleges, and streets of New York and then elsewhere since October 7th. And this administration, and by the way, that's from the left. Okay, it's college campuses. You're seeing, no Jew zones on college campuses. Kids being spit upon because they're Jewish on college campuses, and that's the left. And so I think folks are seeing that, and they're looking at, Harris and Biden, who are telling Israel, you shouldn't go into Rafah. You can't use these weapons. We need a ceasefire now. And versus Donald Trump, who was the best friend that Israel had in the White House, recognizing Jerusalem as the eternal capital, moving the embassy there, Israel's sovereignty over the Golan. Even, by the way, having Nikki Haley in the United Nations out there fighting anti-Semitism. So you've got this incredible contrast. You got a lot of Jews who I think, by the way, and they should be. We should be scared about the times that we're in. And we need strong leadership that is with us unequivocally. Donald Trump has been that. Kamala Harris has not. I mean, even if you go back to the Democrat convention, even Chuck Schumer didn't mention Israel. He couldn't, because it got a Democrat gathering. You can't say, I stand with Israel. That's not an applause line anymore. At a Republican convention, I had the CEO of the Republican Jewish Coalition, Matt Brooks, and I'm the chairman of the board. He said, who stands with Israel? The place erupted in cheers. And so you have a fundamental difference today. And I think, again, that basic question, we asked the question in American Law, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Iran is better off today than it was 4 years ago. And it's because of the policies of this administration. And Iran is we've given them billions of dollars to kill my relatives and to kill my friends. And that's simply unconscionable.
You're talking about the money wasn't directly to Hamas and Hezbollah, but they gave it to Iran.
Right, yeah, but that's
Yes.
yeah. So Iran's giving
Right, it's like
Iran's giving Hamas. They're giving money, okay? That we're supporting folks who are killing our family and friends. And I think American Jews are simply going to say, "Hey, I think we've had enough." So listen, these are not big numbers, but if you go back to the last election, go back to 2020, the race really was decided, Zeb, by 45,000 votes in 3 states. 10,000 in Georgia, 10,000 in Wisconsin, I think maybe 20,000 in Arizona, whatever, 40,000 votes total. Okay, so small numbers. The Republican Jewish Coalition is in Pennsylvania. We're in Georgia. We're in Arizona. Small numbers of Jews can make the difference. I'll be with Senator Lindsey Graham, who's, by the way, one of the great friends of Israel in the United States, and perhaps our greatest friend. We'll be campaigning for Mike Rogers in Michigan. We'll be campaigning for Bernie Moreno in Ohio. And so we think where we can make a difference, we're going to put, the RJC is putting $15 million into effort to get Jews to vote for Donald Trump, again, in a few of the battleground states, principally Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan.
Is this your biggest outlay so far in all the years of the RJC?
Yeah. But again, it's this is the moment. This is the moment. This is the moment where Israel, Israel is facing, it's an existential threat right now. And by the way, we applaud the dismantling of Hezbollah. We applaud even the attack, the effort yesterday to kind of strike at Iran targeted. It wasn't the fireworks perhaps to the extent that I would have liked. But by the way, it showed that Israel has the full capacity to take out all of Iran's defense systems, to go in there and do what they need to do at any time. So the mullahs have to be shaking in their boots. Okay. But that's kind of, more to come if Iran keeps doing what they're doing.
But I think Israel's hands were tied in that situation. Originally, they talking about maybe the oil fields or nuclear facilities. This was just striking at some military.
I think this is a two-step. Okay, that sent a message. Think about it. Every Israel fighter returns safely. So Israel showed the capacity. Because remember, folks were saying, can Israel take out an Iranian nuclear facility without the U.S.? Do we need the U.S.? No, they showed, the Israelis showed that they have the capacity to do whatever they need to do in terms of neutralizing things in Iran. So they did it this time. It was targeted. It was focused. But defense systems, their defense systems were knocked out. All our fighters returned safely. And so if they need to do more, they have told the mullahs, we have the capacity to do what we need to do. We've shown what we've done in Hezbollah, in Lebanon with Hezbollah, taking out the leadership. And by the way, taking out, in Hamas leadership in Tehran. So I think the message was delivered, and hopefully it will have impact.
Well, hopefully, because you're dealing with people who are hell-bent on the destruction of Israel and the United States, I might add.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, we're the big Satan. Yeah, they're killing Jews, but let's make it. If they could kill us, they kill us absolutely. And so no, Israel is and the United States are tied, and they're fighting our battle. They're fighting the fight for Western civilization right now. And this administration has held them back. This administration has told them, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't attack the oil facility. You shouldn't attack the nuclear fields. We're not going to give you the weapons to do what you need to do in Rafah. You shouldn't go into Rafah. And by the way, if they didn't, Sinawat might still be with us today. And so Israel is doing what it needs to do. But they should have a friend in the White House who will be with them unequivocally. Donald Trump was that friend, and he will be that friend again.
So why we have 40-some% of American Jews that don't even want to look at Donald Trump as far as it can? I speak to lots of different Jews, and I find mostly the Orthodox Jewish community, maybe about 90% will vote for Donald Trump. The non-Orthodox community is going to be more voting for Kamala Harris in the Democratic Party. And when I tell them about Israel and about Iran, they say, well, Donald Trump, he's a fascist. And I hear them saying that, oh, he blames the Jews if he doesn't win. And they come up with all these things, all kinds of excuses. So is there such a divide between us Jews?
Well, the reality, and listen, the reality is not every Jew cares about Israel.
Unfortunately.
I think Fedora, somebody once said that when Moses came down from the mountain, he had those two tablets, and for so many of our brethren, they think one of them was written abortion and the other was climate change. Those are the two tablets Moses brought down. For a lot of Jews, that's simply the issues are not Israel, cultural. Harris is running under one issue: abortion. That's all she's running on. She's not running on the border because that's a disaster. She's not running on inflation because they've made that disaster. She's not running on support for Israel because they're equivocal about that. And so it's about abortion, which is the states are going to decide. It's not going to change. Donald Trump in the White House, nothing's going to happen in New York, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania, whatever. But so for many of our brethren, the issue isn't Israel, unfortunately. But if people think about the economy, they think about their jobs, they think about the border, they think about crime, they think about Israel, then they should be voting for Donald Trump. They should be voting Republican.
Well, it sounds like there's a challenge. Is it going to be easy to sway voters in these swing states? By the way, Pennsylvania is in play right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Pennsylvania. No. We're in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is very, very important. Senate race is very, very close. But again, it's small numbers we're talking about here. Do we face kind of, as I said before, we kind of grew up all as Democrats. And so there's been a process here. But clearly, if American Jews are kind of look at that, if you care about Israel, the answer should be easy. But also, if you care about the economy, if you care about inflation, if you care about the border, if you care about defund the police, if you care about all those things, Donald Trump has a record. And Harris, given the opportunity to explain what she would do, she's never done it. I mean, it's to me, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, she has failed to articulate anything of what she's done. It's word salad is what you're getting. And so if we can kind of just ask folks that when you wake up in the morning, what are the things that you're thinking about today? You're thinking about whether mom or dad has a job. When I was mayor, Zev, people who used to say to me, Mayor, what are you doing for kids today? And I'd say the best thing I can do for kids today is make sure mom and dad has an opportunity for a job. So if you care about the economy, if you care about inflation, people can't afford, they go shopping. My wife comes back and she can't believe the prices in stores. And this administration, with their reckless spending, shot up the price of just about everything by their energy policy, which should be impactful in Pennsylvania. They cut off, right away, cut off ANWR, cut off pipelines, want to kill the carbon industry. You can't do that. We need all the above, and they're not about all the above. And so that Green New Deal hasn't really been good for those workers in Pennsylvania who depend on fracking. And so if you care about those things, when you wake up and you ask yourself, am I going to go to work today? What's the cost that I'm going to face in the grocery store when I buy gasoline? Are my kids going to be safe? And by the way, going to school, for Jews who should care about school choice, we should care about the opportunity for your kids to be educated with a good education, not undermining the public school system, but giving people school choice. That's something that we support. Republicans support. Democrats don't. And so I think we're gonna do better. I'm not going to give you a number, but we'll do better. And if doing better means simply in the end tipping a state, 10,000 votes in Georgia determined 10,000 votes in Arizona, Wisconsin, a handful of votes out of 150 million decided last presidential election, Jews can have an impact. And they should be voting for the guy who's been the best defender that Israel's ever had, and who showed us good policies in terms of the economy, in terms of the border, and in terms of public safety.
In Wisconsin, though, what are the number of Jews that are there?
I don't have the number, but and it's probably not as big a number. I think we're going to probably spend more time in Pennsylvania. Again, we're talking 10 or 20,000 votes make a difference. And so these are not big numbers that you need. So you can see that in Michigan. And by the way, look at the Democrats. They're concerned about the Arab vote in Michigan, and they could have had a Jew as the vice presidential candidate. Okay, chose not to.
Are you happy? Are you happy they didn't choose Josh Shapiro?
I'm very happy. Baruch Hashem. Thank you. I am very, very happy they didn't choose Josh Shapiro, because I think Pennsylvania probably would have been out of play. But Harris couldn't do that, and I'm going to say it. She couldn't do it because they couldn't have someone who's pro-Israel, Zionist tendencies. He's kind of had to step back a little bit, but he's been, they're not going to have them on the Democrat ballot. Unfortunately, the ascending power in the Democrat Party are the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs, the Rashid Tlaibs, the Cory Bushes, the squad. Those are the loudest voices. Again, Chuck Schumer couldn't mention the word Israel when he spoke at the Democrat convention. That's a shanda. That's a sin. That's a terrible, terrible thing.
Our guest is former Senator Norman Coleman of Minnesota. He's currently the chair of the Republican Jewish Coalition. And we're looking at how the Jewish vote will shape up for the upcoming presidential election. Jews can play a difference in the key swing states. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. If you'd like to jump in our conversation, 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. If you want to email us, that's a great way to have your questions answered. Zev@talklinenetwork.com, Zev@talklinenetwork.com. Coming up a little later on, we will be speaking to the former CEO of SodaStream, Dan Birnbaum. He's offering $100,000 cash for information leading to the release of a hostage. Every hostage is willing to give $100,000 to those in Gaza. So you'll have a chance to speak to him as well. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Talkline Network. And by the way, today is Sunday. We're on WOR 710 on the AM dial. Elliot Abrams is going to be our guest, talking about Jewish identity. What can we do to keep Jews Jewish in America? We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. This is the Talkline Network.
Want to join a network designed to increase your sales, reduce your expenses, and bring new customers to your company? Our members lower their overhead by paying with barter dollars from their accounts instead of cash from their pockets.
Barter Stage brought me new clients, which funded my advertising and brought me new cash customers.
And I use my barter dollars to pay for the DJ, photographer, and caterer for my daughter to succeed.
Visit bartersaves.com to find out if you qualify for this innovative way of growing your business.
Tired of foot pain slowing you down? Hi, I'm Dr. Uriel Levy, a board-certified podiatrist with 33 years of experience, here to get you back on your feet. And great news, Brooklyn. I just opened up a brand new office in Flatbush at the 1911 Avenue L Medical Center of Dr. Kogel. I specialize in orthopedic and medical foot issues, crafting and prescribing custom-made orthotics from between 75 to 100 patients every week. That's a lot of happy feet. For those who have Medicaid managed care, orthopedic shoes would be covered if you are in medical need of custom-made orthotics. Whether it's plantar fasciitis, bunions, or just everyday aches, don't let foot pain hold you back. Also, I practice reflexology, combining my knowledge of feet and lower extremity issues with Eastern medicine. I like to think of myself as a soul healer, not just a podiatrist. Visit my new Flatbush office at 1911 Avenue L, right across from the Women's Mikvah, and around the block from Young Israel of Midwood. Or my Borough Park office at 1453 44th Street, or in Muncie at 4 Horizon Court. Please call me at 917-930-5800. That's 917-930-5800, or visit dr.soulhealer.com. The easiest way to schedule your appointment is through 917-930-5800. Your feet will thank you. Remember, the Shalosh Regalim are coming up. You need to be Ragle Mevasir. Let your feet bring good news this year. Yeshua's in the Chamas for all of Klal Yisrael. Don't give in to defeat.
Stell sich vor an Arbeit, wo jeder Tag ihr machen einen Unterschied, wo jeder Tag ihr wachsen deine Karriere und verstärken andere. Direkt stützen Professionals sind die Championen, was reden für und stützen Menschen mit Entwicklung Disabilities. Sie sind die Menschen in unseren Kios, was sind mit keiner Mission, was ist größer für eine Arbeit. Kommt zusammen mit uns auf den Weg, was können übermachen Lebens, reingerechnet dein eigene. Anwenden zu seiner direkt stützen Professional bei directsupportcareers.com. Es ist größer für eine Arbeit. Das ist dein Mission.
You don't have to be famous to have a memoir. a book that tells the story of your life. This is New York Times bestselling author Michael Levin, and books are my babies. Your children, grandchildren, and future generations can only know you if you put your story down on paper. That's why I created Jewish Leaders Books, a place where we can tell our stories for our loved ones and friends today and for future generations tomorrow. We're the people of the book. Now it's time for your book. Whether you have a dream or a complete draft, visit jewishleadersbooks.com or call Zev Brenner at 212-769-1925, extension 100, or Zev at talklinenetwork.com. That's jewishleadersbooks.com, or reach out to Zev at 212-769-1925, extension 100, or Zev at talklinenetwork.com.
If you're looking for a short-term rehab after a hospital stay, I'd like to introduce you to MJHS Menorah Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing Care. MJHS Menorah Center provides exceptional short-term rehab to help you get back on your feet and comprehensive long-term care for those who need extended support. Located on the picturesque Manhattan Beach in Brooklyn, Menorah Center offers expansive ocean views that bring peace and tranquility. Menorah Center observes all dietary restrictions and has a rabbi on site, catering to your spiritual and dietary needs. It is also the last Jewish not-for-profit nursing home in Brooklyn, continuing a legacy of compassion and care. Since family visits are important, they provide free on-site parking, making it easy for loved ones to visit and stay connected whenever they want. MJHS Menorah Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing Care, where exceptional care is combined with a touch of home. Discover why Menorah is the perfect place for your recovery and long-term care needs. Visit menorahcenter.org to learn more or schedule a visit by calling 718-851-5960.
Most people don't have enough life insurance. How do you know if you have the right amount, the right type, the most cost-effective policy to protect your family when you need it the most? Hi, this is Ann Lowy, independent life insurance expert for over 35 years. I help my clients navigate all that. And because I'm independent, my loyalty is to you, the client, not the big insurance companies. I'll help you get the best deal out there. After all, you go to a doctor when you need medical advice. You go to a lawyer when you want legal advice. You go to a rabbi for halakhic advice. You should go to an insurance professional to get the right policy for you and your family. Call me and I'll help you figure it all out. Again, my loyalty is to you, my client. Phone 646-335-5519. 646-335-5519.
Are you looking to create extra income for yourself or for your family? Well, Talkline Network is looking for go-getters who are looking to generate more money by getting involved in the lucrative world of selling radio and TV time, as well as commercials and podcasts. You can work part-time or full-time. We pay high commissions for those that are motivated to sell radio and TV time. If you're interested, please contact us at 212-769-1925, extension 100, 212-769-1925, extension 100, or info@talklinenetwork.com. Ideal for students, for retirees, for housewives, anybody looking to generate extra income. Again, that's 212-769-1925, extension 100, or info@talklinenetwork.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, on the air since 1981. Please call us with your questions and comments at 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925. Or email us at zevbrenner@gmail.com.
And we're back. Our guest, Senator Norman Coleman of Minnesota, a former senator. He's still in politics. He's now chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition, and he's trying to get the Jews to vote for Donald Trump, and especially in swing states. Let's go to Aryeh in Flatbush. Aryeh, thank you for waiting. Your questions for the senator.
I don't have a question. I have a comment, if that's okay. We seem to think that you could change the minds of Jews, but this really falls along the lines of what the Torah talks about with Erev Rav. There's Jews that are just no good, we seem to think that all Jews are good, but it's not true. Just because even if they observe, I have a friend that lives in Teaneck. He davens in an Orthodox shul. He said half the shul is going to Harris. I mean, if you ask me, these people are scum. But they parade and they masquerade as good
just
people.
because they don't vote the way you like it, why are you calling them names? You have to educate them.
Listen to me. I want to tell you something. There's two types of people. There's people that are ignorant and selfish. There's no excuse for either one. There's no excuse to be ignorant. You could vote for Hitler if you're ignorant, and then it's not your fault. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. No, it doesn't work that way, Zev.
They'll say the same thing about you. Your friends in Teaneck will say the same things about you. We should keep it.
They can say whatever they want. There's only one truth, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of our policies are related to Satanism, like this whole transgender movement. That is direct Satanism.
Okay, we're going off track. Anyway, Ari, I appreciate your phone call. I guess I know who you're going to vote for, who you're not going to vote for. All right. Thank you for your phone call. Okay. All in a nice word. But how do you convince, according to the polls, most people have made up their minds. So you're spending a lot of money to reach a relatively small amount of people that may change their minds or get them to go out to vote. So how are you doing it? What's the game plan?
So again, we're talking about a small number of people that will have a profound impact. That's the reality. We're a divided country. There's no question about that. Divided by where we live, by urban versus rural, by what media we watch. MSNBC, Fox, etc. That's a reality. But there are people who I think you can appeal to. The thoughtful process. Some people just they're not going to change. I get that, but again, our message, Zev, is really pretty simple. I'll say it again and again. You're going to support people who are giving have given billions of dollars to the folks that are killing your family and will want to kill you. Okay, that's what they're doing. They have told Israel what weapons you can't use. They said, you can't go into Rafah. They ceasefire now, etc. So there is a common sense argument. But Zev, does everybody respond to common sense? I can't tell you that. If you go back, what's important to you? I would hope that what's important to you, first of all, if Israel is important to you, then it's pretty easy. But if the economy is important, if inflation is important, look at the border and the threats that flow from having literally open borders. And she was in charge of the borders. So, listen, we pride ourselves on being the people of the book. We pride ourselves on having sekel, having good smarts. I would hope then that one could make the rational argument that says the simple question, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And I think the answer to that in most instances is going to be no, that this administration has not done well with inflation, has not done well with the economy, has not done well with crime, has not done well with Israel, has not done well with the border. And if people of the book of who can be reasoned, we think we can convince enough that in the end, Zev, could make a difference in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and in Georgia, and perhaps in Arizona.
Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills. Your question or comment for our guest. Go ahead, Stan.
Well, your previous callers are Michiganer, so I don't want to comment on that lunatic. My comment, I have no question for this gentleman. He's going to support Donald Trump, and that's his problem. The problem is, sir, you don't know this guy. I know him. I've met him. Once was enough. Long time, 40 years ago. He always told me this. I throw stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. That was the main thing I got from him. And so for the last 6 years, that's what he does, and so forth. I believe he is the worst thing for the Jews. How do you like that?
Why is he the worst thing for you? Did you like the 4 years when he was in office regarding the moving?
No, I didn't think much of it. What did he do? What he moved a building from Jerusalem to that's a lot.
What about cutting off money to Iran?
Well, did you know that the prime minister was given money to give to Hamas, and he let it go through? Did you mention that little tidbit of news? You mentioned it a couple of days ago.
$30 million.
Yeah, he gave him money. So let's be realistic here, okay? Politics is politics, whether we like it or not in foreign situations. I don't like a lot of things that are done, but I know this: when push comes to shove, I don't trust this guy.
So who are you going to vote? Who are you voting for in the election? You trust Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party?
I would trust Helen Keller over this guy. Who couldn't hear?
Right,
who couldn't see?
I'm going to let the senator respond to you.
Zev, it's easy that he has a record to run on, and so I'd simply ask you listeners, ask Stan, go back, look at the 4 years, and compare the 4 years then and where the economy was at, and where by the way the world was at in terms of Putin hadn't invaded in Ukraine, Hamas hadn't kind of massacred more Jews than ever since the Holocaust, and so if you look at where the world was, if you look at the 4 years that he was president, I simply judge it on that. That's all. I'm not asking about personality. I'm not asking about. Just go look at record. Look at what the 4 years he did and what the record was versus the 4 years today. Simple, very easy. Make the comparison and then make your choice.
You mean the treaty that he did with those countries who were never belligerent? That isn't a treaty. You deal with your enemies.
Saudi Arabia wasn't belligerent?
Well, I give the president kudos for trying to get them to recognize Israel, and that's why we had this war.
Hold on, before I let you go, do you think that Donald Trump did anything good while he was in office?
Yeah, he did. I'm going to give him this. He pardoned Jack Johnson, the great boxer, the black boxer. That's true.
All right.
I like Jack Johnson. I said he did a good thing, but that's it.
All right. Thank you for your.
So he doesn't. So I have to say that the caller doesn't recognize the Abraham Accords, which were really important, and by the way, have set the stage for the next phase, which will be Saudi recognizing Israel. And if Saudi does it, then Indonesia will follow suit, and the world will be different. But Donald Trump was the one who set the stage for that. You got to give him credit for that. Absolutely.
Let's go to Judy in Brooklyn. Judy, your question for the senator. Go ahead.
Hi. I don't so much have a question. I agree with him very much. I just called because number one, I think Aryeh has definitely a point, and Stan is a total nut job. He's known.
Hold on, let's not call people. Why do we have to call people names? It's right after the holiday. Just say you don't agree with him.
Why did Stan call Aryeh a nut job or whatever?
Okay, he shouldn't. We shouldn't call him nut jobs. Okay, you're right. Nobody should be. No, you have opinions, and people are very passionate about this issue, as you can see. You're passionate. Aryeh's passionate. Stan's passionate. We have other callers. I'm sure they're all passionate. But okay, your comment or question for the senator, because we have other calls that we've got to get to.
Okay, but Stan, I think you should put Stan in his place too, because he's always starting up with people, telling them off, always. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of him, and that's it.
Okay, so what's your question for the senator?
4 years. I just want to say, I agree with the senator. 4 years of Trump was great. That's his track record. He's not a dictator. He's not a fascist. He's someone that believes in capitalism. Whereas the other one, Kamala Harris, she's a horrible human being. She actually told people to call her general when she was aging in California. You have to call her general. You can't look her in the eye. She locked up black people for not sending their kids enough in school when the kids were sick. There's a Sherry Peoples. Look her up. What she did to her persecutor for 2 years. She's a horrible woman. And she's why are we afraid to say the truth? Call a spade a spade. She is a Marxist communist. Go look at Karl Marx's.
I know who you're going to be. I know who you're going to be voting for. Anyway, Judy, thank you for your opinion. I know.
And Judy's right, though. Zev, Judy's right about Harris. One thing she did, and she takes great pride in it, is that she was locking up parents whose kids were truants, and she talked about how she had the power to do that. And by the way, it was about money, because the state loses money if kids aren't in school. So parents' lives were destroyed. Okay, because she did it with her kind of a laugh and she thought, the wave of my hand, I could destroy lives, and so yeah, there's a record there, but again, look at the Trump record and then look at the Biden-Harris record and just walk through the issues: the economy, inflation, the border. Harris funded the folks who burnt down Minneapolis. She funded getting them out of jail. Some of those folks went back and committed murder, committed rapes, committed other crimes. Okay, and her running mate, who I know well since I was a senator from Minnesota, and he's the governor of Minnesota. He let Minneapolis burn. He let it burn. And his wife talked about how she kept the windows open so she could smell the burning rubber, the burning tires, and because it was an inflection point. That she was like kind of getting aroused by it. I mean, this is insanity. He took, by the way, Walz took an $18 billion surplus in one legislative session, burnt through the whole thing, increased the size of government 40%, increased $10 billion of taxes, and so been a disaster. And so that's the record versus the Donald Trump. Look at his record. Look at what the 4 years under him. Are you better off today than you were when Biden started? You're not. You were better off after 4 years of Trump than when he started.
Anyway, Judy, I appreciate your
right.
phone call. Thank you. And let's move on to Saul in Flatbush. Saul in Brooklyn. Go ahead, Saul.
Yes, I'm calling to say that I absolutely agree with your guest. What we're seeing is here you have the state of Israel fighting for their life against Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran. And every time the Americans get involved, the Democrats get involved, it's always putting them in a straitjacket. The latest example is they have these 200 lethal missiles, the most powerful missiles being aimed at civilians in Israel. And we all watched it on television here. And as they were coming in, they said 12 minutes to go. And we had our hearts and our, we were just hoping for a miracle. And a miracle happened. All right. So Biden comes and says, if you're going to hit back, don't hit too hard. All right.
Don't hit the oil fields. Don't hit the nuclear facilities. Just be very nice. Hit them gently.
And then finally they get the pressure, all right, and they come up with a plan that Biden will accept in his straitjacket. And what happens? The Americans leak it. I'll tell you what, they'll never discover who leaked it until after the election. There's another, even what Biden approved, they end up leaking it. Somebody in the administration, a Democratic administration, leaks it. So there's a straitjacket that the Democrats, who I believe are being influenced by their radicals, all right, are putting Israel in. And Israel is fighting for its survival. And this is not a time to play politics. It's a time to, show our support for Israel in a time where they're being attacked from all sides and they're in such danger. And I salute your guests. Keep up the good work. And everybody out there, your vote can make a difference because it's a close vote, whether you're in New York or any of the other states. Please go out and vote. It takes a couple of minutes. And this is crucial.
I think everybody should vote. I agree with you. And Saul, thank you for your
Stan,
phone
by the way, I salute you. Stan, Zev, can I submit one comment? I love this conversation. Listen, because I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Now, I've been gone since 1976 in Minnesota, but I'm a kid from Brooklyn. By the way, when I was in the United States Senate, there were 3 senators who represented 3 different political parties, 3 different states, who all graduated from the same high school in Brooklyn, New York. Me, Chuck Schumer, and Bernie Sanders were all James Madison graduates. I hope I got smarter than the rest of them. Whatever, we'll see. And at least politically speaking, but be that as it may, as I listen to your calls, I listen from Flapper, this and that. It's bringing me right back home. You can take Brooklyn, you can take the boy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out of the boy. So I'm really appreciating and enjoying the conversations with your callers.
Anyway, thank you. And we're going to take a short commercial break. Our final stretch with Senator Norm Coleman, originally from Brooklyn. I think you probably enjoy the Brooklyn commercials, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's right close to home. Having you I was having you out. So all close to home. So Brighton Beach. Know it well.
Norm Coleman, chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition. They're pumping $50 million to get out the Jewish road in swing states. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. We'll try to squeeze in a couple more of your phone calls. 212-769-1925. 212-769-1925. Email is a great way to have your questions answered. Zev at TalklineNetwork.com. Coming up in a little while, we'll speak to Dan Birnbaum from this former CEO of SodaStream. He sold it for $3.2 billion. He's now offering $100,000 for information leading to the release of hostages. We'll talk to him about that. And, of course, later today on WOR 710 at 9 p.m., Elliot Abrams, How to Save American Jewry. And, by the way, if you are interested in hosting a Jewish morning radio show or evening radio show, contact us. We're looking for hosts on WNEW 102.7 FM HD3, America's only Jewish FM HD channel. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Talkline Network. I'm Zev Brenner.
Most people don't have enough life insurance. How do you know if you have the right amount, the right type, the most cost-effective policy to protect your family when you need it the most? Hi, this is Ann Lowy, independent life insurance expert for over 35 years. I help my clients navigate all that. And because I'm independent, my loyalty is to you, the client, not the big insurance companies. I'll help you get the best deal out there. After all, you go to a doctor when you need medical advice. You go to a lawyer when you want legal advice. You go to a rabbi for halakhic advice. You should go to an insurance professional to get the right policy for you and your family. Call me and I'll help you figure it all out. Again, my loyalty is to you, my client. The phone 646-335-5519. 646-335-5519.
On these lives. Tired of foot pain slowing you down? Hi, I'm Dr. Uriel Levy, a board-certified podiatrist with 33 years of experience, here to get you back on your feet. And great news, Brooklyn. I just opened up a brand new office in Flatbush at the 1911 Avenue L Medical Center of Dr. Kogel. I specialize in orthopedic and medical foot issues, crafting and prescribing custom-made orthotics from between 75 to 100 patients every week. That's a lot of happy feet. For those who have Medicaid managed care, orthopedic shoes would be covered if you are in medical need of custom-made orthotics. Whether it's plantar fasciitis, bunions, or just everyday aches, don't let foot pain hold you back. Also, I practice reflexology, combining my knowledge of feet and lower extremity issues with Eastern medicine. I like to think of myself as a soul healer, not just a podiatrist. Visit my new Flatbush office at 1911 Avenue L, right across from the Women's Mikvah, and around the block from Young Israel of Midwood. Or my Borough Park office at 1453 44th Street, or in Muncie at 4 Horizon Court. Please call me at 917-930-5800. That's 917-930-5800, or visit dr.soulhealer.com. The easiest way to schedule your appointment is through 917-930-5800. Your feet will thank you. Remember, the Shalosh Regalim are coming up. You need to be Ragle Mevasir. Let your feet bring good news this year. Yeshua's and Nechamas for all of Klal Yisrael. Don't give in to defeat.
The Jewish Press is the largest independent weekly Jewish newspaper in the United States. It's packed with in-depth articles, interesting podcasts, information about the Jewish world, political and religious commentary, and more. Visit jewishpress.com, or to subscribe to the print edition or advertise, call 718-330-1100. That's 718-330-1100.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
Now we're back, our final stretch with Senator Norm Coleman, former senator of Minnesota, originally from Brooklyn. You can't get rid of the Brooklyn part of it forever, right? And he's chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Their effort, $50 million effort to get out the Jews in the swing vote. Let's go to Brooklyn. Okay, we have, I believe, Jay in Brooklyn. Your question or comment for our guest. Go ahead.
Yeah, Senator Coleman, I'd like to ask you this. I voted for Trump last time, and maybe you could help me out here. What good is it if I'm going to put him into office and the lefties in the CIA, in the NSA are going to try to undermine him at every turn? Does he realize this? And how can he get rid of all these guys, these Obamaites? If you remember, during his tenure, they made life miserable at every turn. They leaked everything he wanted to do. There were countless times when these people, I don't know who they are, field operatives, all lefties. What can he do about this?
Let the senator respond to you.
Yeah. So, is it a reality that he faced from the day he was inaugurated? A lot of resistance from the deep state. Yes, but on the other hand, he's still going to make policy that's going to impact your lives day in and day out. And so he'll keep lids on taxes. He'll grow jobs. He'll secure the border. He'll bring down inflation. He'll stand with Israel unequivocally. And so those are the things that you really have to look at. And yes, will it be challenging? Does he recognize that he doesn't need this job? He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to be shot at and almost assassinated twice. But he does know that he can make a difference. He made a difference before. Again, look at the record. You have where's the joy, by the way, in the Harris campaign now? Their only argument now is Trump's going to be Hitler. And by the way, they accuse Reagan of being Hitler. Republicans get accused of this all the time. But in the end, again, just go back and look at the record. Compare the record. Compare what Harris has done and Biden with the economy, with inflation, with the border, with the fund the police, with support of Israel, and compare what Donald Trump did. So will he face resistance? Yes. Does he recognize that? Yes. Is he willing to put his life on the line to try to lead this country back again? Yes. So let's give him that chance. Look at what he did before. He can do it again, and America will be better off as a result.
Anyway, thank you for your phone call. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You have videos out there, I believe, with 3 women talking about supporting Donald Trump. Any reason why you haven't used your cousin, Sid Rosenberg of ABC? He's very.
Sid's going to be at Madison Square Garden tomorrow. He's going to be there with President Trump.
Have you not done your video commercials?
He's going to be out because our target audience isn't Sid. Okay, it's those 3 women and their friends. One says, something, I really haven't liked Trump, but he's going to make us safe. And Harris Ivey, okay, she supports the squad. And our kids are getting spit on when they walk on college campus. Trump is gonna be with us. He's gonna stand with us. So our target audience is not Sid, or his demographic. It's those 3 women, their friends, their daughters, their son-in-laws. That's who the audience is, and there's a good reason for them to be with us.
Now, have you done market research saying that these 3 women represent lots of Jewish voters, and this is why you're using that kind of stereotype?
Yeah. We've done some, but also I think it's a pretty fair sentiment that there are a lot of folks out there, by the way, who don't like Trump's personality. It bothers them. Okay? But they again go back to what's important. What's important to these women is their safety. What's important to Israel, them, is what's happening in Israel. What's important to them is the cost of food. Is borders that Harris was in charge of, and simply, we have no border control. And so that's, I think it's common sense. Is there some research? Yes. But it's clear this election in the end, if we can get those folks who still, you've asked a couple of times, Ev, about who are you trying to get? And, haven't folks made up their mind? I think there are some folks who, very candidly, don't like Donald Trump, and does his personality turn some folks off? Yeah, sure it does. Yeah, I have some friends and relatives who are like, I just can't believe he said that. I can't believe. I think, by the way, Trump does that to get the left fired up. I think he does it oftentimes deliberately. But on the other hand, the message is, okay, that may be the case, but he will make us safe. He will make America stronger. He will make America better. He will stand with Israel. And Harris hasn't. Harris and Biden haven't. They haven't done all those things that are important to you, to your family, to your kids, and to your future.
Have you given up on, let's say, getting Jews in New York or New Jersey or Florida or other places to also get out the vote? Is the votes going to count? It doesn't count as much as Pennsylvania, but
again, you got to be kind of efficient with your money. We're talking about a handful of votes in a couple of battleground states that will decide this election. As I said earlier, I think there were 44,000 votes out of 150 million cast in the 2020 presidential that ultimately decided the race. 44,000 votes in literally 3 states, in Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. And so we're targeting those states where a handful of votes, and Jews can make the difference, will make the difference between who's the next president. So in New York, you could put a ton of money in, but it's a drop of water in the ocean. Okay.
But there's a lot of ads. I think you're one of those groups. I forgot the name of the group. It's not an official the Donald Trump group, but one of these PACs that is spending money. You see every few minutes, you see a commercial.
And we should, and by the way, because there are congressional races that are really important in New York, and so New York, it's not important. By the way, Florida is also, you don't just take it for granted, but there are congressional races, so you're going to see some folks put money in, and I think in part it's also to ensure that we get enough of the vote out there, so that a Mike Lawler gets reelected, and kind of a number of good Republicans who won last cycle kind of get brought back. Esposito and some others. So that's, I think, the target
effect. The coattail. You're looking at
the reality is that the president, if Trump wins, God willing, again, Baruch Hashem, he gets elected, Republicans will definitely carry the House. We're going to carry the Senate. So we're going to win right now 51-49 Democrat, but we're going to take the West Virginia seat. So technically 50-50. We're going to win Montana. We now have, I think, Republicans who control the Senate. I think have a good chance in Ohio.
Ted Cruz in trouble because he seems to be pretty.
Who's that?
Senator Ted Cruz.
I think Cruz will be fine. Texas will be fine. They thought last time that Trump was going to, Texas was going to be. Texas has never been in play. And so, but is the other side, is that the only shot they have? It is. And so they're putting literally over $100 million, maybe $200 million into Texas, because that's the only shot the other side has. That's the only thing that's in play. Some people are saying it's Florida in play, but it's really not in play. Republican advantage there is pretty almost. So Texas is the only possibility the Democrats have to pick up a seat. So they're pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into kill Ted Cruz. I think we'll be fine. Whereas Republicans have opportunities we're going to win West Virginia, win Montana. We should win Ohio. We should win Michigan, Pennsylvania, perhaps Arizona, New Mexico. There are a number of possibilities. Nevada. There are a number of possibilities we have that are all in play. And again, a handful of votes in those states can make the difference, Ev.
Senator Norm Coleman, thank you for being here with us, the chairman of Republican Jewish Coalition. Thank you. Look forward to. We have to have this conversation on more often. We enjoyed having you on, so thank you.
It's really, I've really enjoyed every moment of it, Zev. Thank you, and a wonderful audience. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Okay, it's Senator Norm Coleman here on the Talkline Network. When we come back, we'll hear the latest news from Israel. We'll also take you to a